Hey you guys, welcome to I Cook and Paint. I hope you're surviving this crazy world we're living in. I have for you today another I'm a Starving Artist recipe because, well, times are a little tough at the moment. This is a wartime biscuit recipe that uses leftover oatmeal. And even though they don't look pretty, they're surprisingly really good. In fact, you might find yourself purposely making too much oatmeal just so you can make these. As always, the recipe link is in the description box down below. You ready? So here I have 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of all-purpose and 1 cup of whole wheat, but you can use just all-purpose if you want to. And to that I'm going to add 4 teaspoons of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to mix these dry ingredients together really well, and this is very typical of all biscuit recipes. Now I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of shortening. These biscuits are way nicer when you use butter, but because we're in hard times right now, we're going to stick with shortening. So we're just going to cut that in with a pastry blender. Now if you don't have one of these pastry blenders, you can use 2 knives or a fork, even your food processor, but you want a nice coarse mixture like this, kind of like rolled oats. Alright, once you've cut in all your shortening, now you want to make a well in the center. And now here comes our wonderful leftover oatmeal. That's 1 cup of oatmeal going in there. Now if you have more than 1 cup of oatmeal left over, then go ahead and make a double batch of these because they freeze really well. And now I'm going to add in a half a cup of milk, but I'm going to add it in a little bit at a time. Because we're going by volumes and not weights, we might not need all of that milk, or we might need a bit more. So I'm just going to add it bit by bit until it forms a soft dough. So I ended up using the entire half cup of milk and realized as I was mixing it that it was still dry, so I added another 2 tablespoons. Remember, this is old-fashioned cooking, so it's more about texture and feel rather than following a recipe. Alright, so just keep mixing this until it forms a nice soft dough. Eventually you're going to want to get your hand in there, and when the dough starts cleaning up the sides of the bowl, that's a really good sign. Alright, you don't want to knead this too much. Now we're going to lightly flour our surface here and lay this dough down. Now, you can pat this dough or you can roll it with a rolling pin. And how thick you make it depends on how thick you want your biscuits. But if it starts sticking like that, just add a little bit of flour on top, but not too much or they'll be tough. Alright, we're just going to try and make this nice and even. And I made my biscuits kind of on the thin side today, but you go ahead and make yours thicker if you want. And I'm just using a mason jar lid as my cutter. And I'm going to place these onto a greased baking sheet. So just keep cutting out your biscuits. And if you wanted to avoid all those scraps, what you could do is roll it out into a square shape and cut square biscuits. But I decided to stay kind of traditional today. So I'm going to gather up all these scraps. Now these ones aren't going to be quite as nice as the first ones that were cut, but they really are still going to be great. So now with the last little bit, I'm going to form one final biscuit. Alright, now we're going to place these in their own little pie plate and we're good to go. So right now you'll want to preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 204 degrees Celsius. And before we put those in there, I'm going to just give these a generous brushing of milk just to kind of help a little bit with the browning. And now we're going to bake these for 13 to 15 minutes. Every oven's a little bit different, so the times can vary, but this is what they look like when they're ready. And as you can see, they're not very pretty. They don't grow a heck of a lot, but they're surprisingly really good, you guys. These are really hearty. They really hit the spot in the morning for breakfast. So why don't we cut into one so you can see what it looks like inside. So the exterior is kind of flaky and crispy. That's because of the shortening. And the inside is nice and tender and close textured. You see how it's almost like a little dinner roll. These are really great with any hearty like meal like soup or chili or beans. So let's slap a little bit of butter on there, and my butter's a little hard as you can see because I forgot to take it out of the fridge, but that's okay, no problem. And here comes some old-fashioned strawberry jam. If you want that recipe, I've also linked it down below, or you should be able to hit the little icon on the top right of your screen right now to get this recipe. All right, there we have it, guys, our wartime leftover oatmeal biscuits. So this will work with any type of leftover hot cereal, with leftover cream of wheat, any type of porridge. Go give this recipe a try and let me know how it went for you by leaving me a comment down below. I had a really great time cooking with you again today, guys. If you haven't subscribed to I Cook and Paint yet, then please hit that subscribe button along with that little notification bell. Please be well, stay healthy and safe, and I will see you all very soon with another great recipe.